Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you from the heart today. As we stand on the edge of a brand new year, 2026 is not just a number on the calendar. It is an opportunity. It is a fresh invitation from God and from life itself to rebuild yourself, not repair a few cracks, not repaint the walls. I'm talking about rebuilding from the foundation up, because some of you didn't just go through a hard year. You went through a season that broke you, humbled you, and stripped you down to the core. And I came to tell you today, that doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're being rebuilt. See, rebuilding yourself starts with honesty. You've got to be brave enough to look in the mirror and admit what's not working anymore. Some habits you're holding on to are leftovers from an old version of you. Some relationships were meant for a season, not a lifetime. Some fears you're carrying were never meant to come into this next chapter. You can't rebuild your future while clinging to the ruins of your past. 2026 demands a new mindset, a new standard, and a new level of self-respect. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real about rebuilding yourself, because it always starts with honesty. Not the kind of honesty you show the world, but the kind you have with yourself when nobody's watching. You cannot rebuild what you refuse to acknowledge. Too many people walk into a new year lying to themselves and pretending everything is fine, pretending they're happy, pretending they're healed. But deep down, they know something isn't right. And that quiet voice you keep ignoring, that's the truth trying to get your attention. Being honest with yourself means admitting what's broken. It means saying, this habit is hurting me, even if you've been doing it for years. It means admitting this relationship is draining me, even if you're afraid of being alone. It means recognizing that some of the excuses you keep repeating are just fear wearing a clever disguise. You don't need to judge yourself, but you do need to face yourself. Because until you tell the truth, change is impossible. See, a lot of people want God to fix what they're unwilling to confront. You keep asking for a new life while protecting the same old behaviors. But rebuilding doesn't work like that. When a building is unsafe, engineers don't decorate it. They inspect it. They look for weak points, cracks, and faulty foundations. You've got to do the same thing with your life. Ask yourself hard questions. Why do I keep repeating this cycle? Why do I sabotage good opportunities? Why do I settle for less than I know I deserve? Those answers might be uncomfortable, but they're necessary. Also means accepting responsibility, not blaming your parents, your past, your partner, or your circumstances anymore. Yes, some things weren't your fault, but healing is your responsibility. Growth begins the moment you start saying, this happened to me, and start saying, what am I going to do about it now? That shift right there is powerful. That's the moment you take control back. And let me say this clearly, being honest doesn't mean being harsh with yourself. It means being fair. You've survived things that could have destroyed you. You've carried weight you were never meant to carry alone. So when you look at your life honestly, don't just focus on what went wrong. Recognize how far you've come. Honesty shows you both your wounds and your strength. It reminds you that you're not weak for needing change. You're wise for wanting better. Sometimes honesty means admitting that the version of you that got you here can't take you where you're going. That's hard for people to accept. You fall in love with who you used to be because it feels familiar. But growth demands evolution. Some mindsets expire. Some strategies stop working. And if you don't go the old version of yourself, you'll keep rebuilding the same life over and over again, just with a different calendar year. You also have to be honest about what you want, not what sounds good to others, not what looks good on social media. What do you truly want for your life? Your peace, your purpose. A lot of frustration comes from living someone else's expectations. When you admit that you've been chasing approval instead of fulfillment, that truth can change everything. Because once you know what you really want, you can finally start building toward it. Honesty strips away denial, but it also opens the door to freedom. When you stop pretending, you stop performing. When you stop performing, you start healing. And healing is the foundation of rebuilding. You don't rebuild your life by lying to yourself. You rebuild it by telling the truth and deciding you deserve better. So as you move forward, understand this honesty is not a one-time moment. It's a daily practice. Every day you choose truth over comfort, awareness over avoidance, responsibility over excuses. And every time you do, you lay another strong brick in the new life you're building. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break something down for you, because a lot of people misunderstand failure. They treat it like a life sentence, like once you fail. That's it, you're disqualified. But failure is not a stop sign, it's a classroom. And if you're willing to learn, it becomes one of the greatest advantages you'll ever have. When you rebuild yourself, you don't erase your past mistakes, you extract wisdom from them. Every setback you've experienced taught you something, even the ones that hurt the most. The problem is, many people relive the pain but never review the lesson. They keep asking, why did this happen to me? Instead of asking, what is this trying to teach me? Experience is expensive. It costs tears, time, energy, and sometimes relationships. But once you paid the price, don't waste it. Use it. See, people who grow don't pretend they've never failed. They respect their failures because those moments revealed their blind spots. They showed them where they were impatient, where they trusted too fast, where they didn't prepare enough, or where they ignored warning signs. That awareness is not meant to shame you. It's meant to sharpen you. Experience turns pain into precision if you let it. A lot of folks make the mistake of using their past as an excuse instead of a tool. They say, I can't do that because last time I failed, or I'm not good at this because I messed up before. That's not experience talking, that's fear. Real experience says, no, I know better. It says, I won't make the same mistake twice. It says, I'm stronger because I survived. When you rebuild yourself, you build with better judgment, clearer boundaries, and stronger discipline than you ever had before. And let me tell you something else, experience gives you patience. When you failed before, you stop rushing, chasing shortcuts. You understand that anything built too fast can collapse just as quickly. So you move differently. You plan better. You prepare longer. You listen more. That's not hesitation. That's maturity. That's growth. Experience also humbles you, and humility is a powerful teacher. It reminds you that you don't know everything and that you don't have to. It opens your ears to advice and your heart to correction. When you rebuild yourself with humility, you stop proving and start improving. You stop competing and start focusing. You stop comparing your journey to others and start respecting your own pace. Some of you are carrying shame from things that didn't work out. Let that go. Shame is not experience, it's a distraction. Experience says, I've been here before, and I know what not to do this time. Experience says, I won't repeat the same cycle. Experience says, I fell, but I also learned how to get back up. That's strength. You see, when you step into the next season of your life, you're not the same person you were when you failed. You've grown. You've seen the consequences. You've felt the disappointment. And you've survived it. That means you're better equipped now. You're more aware. You're more grounded. You're more prepared. So don't walk into your future acting like your past was a curse. It was training. It was preparation. It was education you couldn't get from a book. Use it. Build with it. Let your experience guide you, not trap you. Because when you rebuild yourself with the lessons of your past, you don't just move forward, you move forward wiser, stronger, and more intentional than ever before. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you the truth about growth, because nobody likes to talk about this part. Growth is uncomfortable. Change will stretch you, challenge you, and sometimes scare you. If you're waiting for the moment when rebuilding yourself feels easy, you're going to be waiting forever. The reason most people stay stuck is not because they can't change, but because they don't want to feel uncomfortable while changing. See, discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. Discomfort is a sign that something is happening. It means you're stepping outside of what you know. It means you're leaving behind habits, thoughts, and behaviors that once felt safe, but are now holding you back. Familiar doesn't mean healthy. Familiar just means you're used to it. And a lot of people confuse comfort with security, even when that comfort is slowly destroying their potential. When you decide to rebuild yourself, you're going to face resistance, and most of that resistance will come from inside you. Your mind will remind you of how things used to be. It will tell you to go back to what's easy, what's predictable, what requires less effort. But easy never built anything great. If you want a different life, you have to be willing to do different things, even when they feel awkward at first. Discomfort shows up when you start saying no to things you used to tolerate. It shows up when you set boundaries and stop explaining yourself to people who never respected you. Anyway, it shows up when you walk away from environments that drain you, even if you don't know exactly where you're going next. That uncertainty can be scary, but staying in a place that no longer serves you should scare you more. Let me tell you something important. Your comfort zone is beautifully decorated, but it's very small. Nothing new grows there. When you stay comfortable, you stay the same. When you choose discomfort, you give yourself permission to evolve. That's how confidence is built, not by avoiding fear, but by walking through it and realizing you survived. Discomfort also teaches you discipline. When motivation fades, discipline keeps you moving. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up, days when progress feels slow, days when you question whether it's even worth it. That's when discipline steps in and says, do it anyway. And every time you push through discomfort, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you can rely on you. A lot of people quit right before the breakthrough because they mistake discomfort for failure. But discomfort is often the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Think about it. Every major transformation in your life started with discomfort. And new levels require new behaviors, and new behaviors always feel strange at first. And here's the part nobody warns you about when you grow. Some people won't like the new you. Your change will make others uncomfortable because it reminds them of what they're avoiding. Don't let that stop you. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're here to become who you're meant to be. The people meant to walk with you will adjust. The rest were never supposed to stay. When you embrace discomfort, you stop running from challenges and start rising to them. You stop asking, why is this hard? And start asking, what is this building in me? Strength, patience, courage, wisdom. These qualities are forged in uncomfortable moments, not in ease. So if rebuilding yourself feels tough right now, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing. Stay with it. Lean into it. Let discomfort do its work. Because on the other side of that unease is a stronger, wiser, and more powerful version of you. And that version is worth every uncomfortable step it takes to get there. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about belief, because rebuilding yourself always begins in the mind. Before anything changes on the outside, something has to shift on the inside. If you don't believe you deserve better, you will never consistently choose better. A lot of people say they have faith in God, but they struggle to have faith in themselves. And that disconnect right there is what keeps them stuck. See, you talk yourself out of opportunities every day without even realizing it. You say you're not ready, not qualified, not smart enough, not lucky enough. You replay old failures in your head and use them as proof that you shouldn't even try again. But that voice isn't truth. It's fear disguised as logic. Faith in yourself means silencing that voice and choosing to move forward anyway. Believing in yourself doesn't mean you think you're perfect. It means you trust that you can learn, grow, and improve. It means understanding that you don't need all the answers before you take the first step. Most people wait for confidence to show up before they act, but confidence is built through action. You move first, and belief follows. When you rebuild your faith in yourself, you stop shrinking to fit into spaces that no longer align with who you are becoming. You stop lowering your standards just to be accepted. You stop asking for permission to be who God already called you to be. That kind of faith changes how you walk, how you speak, and how you make decisions. Let me tell you something powerful. The way you talk to yourself matters. If you constantly tell yourself you can't, you won't. If you keep reminding yourself of everything that went wrong, you'll stay stuck there mentally. Rebuilding yourself requires a new inner conversation. One that says, I've been through worse and I survived. One that says, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. That's faith talking. Faith in yourself also means trusting your instincts again. Somewhere along the way, life made you doubt your judgment. Maybe you trusted the wrong people. Maybe you made decisions that didn't work out. But one mistake doesn't mean your intuition is broken. It means you learned. When you reconnect with yourself, you start listening again, and that voice will guide you more accurately than you think. You can't rebuild your life while constantly seeking validation from others. Applause is nice, but it's not necessary. Some people won't see your vision because it wasn't given to them. If you need everyone to believe in you before you believe in yourself, you'll stay stuck waiting. The strongest belief is quiet. It shows up in consistency, not announcements. Rebuilding faith in yourself also requires patience. You won't become your best self overnight. You'll have days when you feel strong and days when doubt creeps back in. That doesn't mean your faith is gone. It means you're human. The key is not to quit on yourself during those moments. Keep showing up. Keep choosing growth. Keep trusting the process. When you truly believe in yourself, your actions start to align with that belief. You take better care of your mind and body. You protect your time. You choose environments that support your growth. You stop chasing what drains you and start investing in what builds you. Faith in yourself is not arrogance. It's agreement. It's agreeing with the purpose placed inside you. It's understanding that if you were given the vision, you were also given the ability to grow into it. And when that belief takes root, rebuilding yourself stops feeling impossible and starts feeling inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about letting go, because you cannot rebuild yourself while carrying old weight. Some of you are trying to move forward in life with your hands full of yesterday's pain. You're holding on to hurt, betrayal, disappointment, and anger, and then wondering why you feel tired all the time. It's because emotional baggage is heavy, and the longer you carry it, the more it slows you down. A lot of people misunderstand forgiveness. They think forgiving means saying what happened was okay. It doesn't. Forgiveness means you've decided not to let what happened control you anymore. You're not freeing the other person. You're freeing yourself. Because the truth is, while you're holding on to resentment, the other person is still living their life. You're the one stuck reliving the moment over and over again. When you rebuild yourself, you have to clean a foundation, and bitterness cracks foundations. You can't build peace on top of anger. You can't build joy on top of resentment. You can't build clarity on top of emotional chaos. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's realizing that your future is more important than your past pain. Some of you are waiting for an apology that's never coming. You're waiting for closure from people who don't even understand the damage they caused. But closure is not something someone gives you, it's something you decide. You wake up one day and say, I'm done letting this hurt define me. That decision is power. Letting go also means releasing the version of yourself that stayed too long, trusted too much, or ignored the warning signs. Stop beating yourself up. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Growth brings clarity, and clarity brings forgiveness. Not just for others, but for yourself. You can't rebuild yourself while punishing yourself for old mistakes. Some pain taught you lessons you couldn't have learned any other way. It taught you boundaries. It taught you discernment. It taught you self-respect. So instead of carrying anger, carry the lesson. Anger keeps you stuck in the moment. Lessons help you move forward. Let me tell you something real. Holding on to resentment feels like control, but it's actually captivity. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're just building emotional walls that block peace, love, and growth. When you let go, you make room. Room for better relationships, room for clearer thinking, room for new opportunities. Letting go doesn't mean you allow the same behavior again. Forgiveness and access are not the same thing. You can forgive someone and still decide they no longer have a place in your life. That's maturity. That's boundaries. That's growth. Some of you need to let go of old labels people put on you. Names they called you. Doubts they planted in you. Just because someone spoke it doesn't mean it's true. Just because a hurt doesn't mean it gets to stay. Rebuilding yourself requires choosing which voices you allow to live in your head. When you release resentment, something amazing happens. Your energy comes back. Your focus sharpens. Your peace returns. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intentionally. You stop living from the wound and start living from wisdom. Letting go is a daily choice. Some days the memories will try to resurface. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're healing. Each time you choose peace over anger, you take another step forward. And every step forward is a brick laid in the new life you're building. You weren't meant to carry all that pain into the next season. Put it down. Walk lighter. Rebuild yourself with peace, not pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you of something powerful. Rebuilding yourself is not a moment, it's a lifestyle. Too many people wait for a big breakthrough, a sudden change, or one perfect day where everything finally clicks. But real transformation doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in the small, quiet decisions you make every single day. That's how lasting change is built. You don't wake up one morning completely healed, confident, and disciplined. You wake up and choose to do one small thing better than you did yesterday. You choose to show up even when you're tired. You choose progress over excuses. And those small choices, repeated daily, start to reshape your life. Consistency beats intensity every time. Anybody can be motivated for a week. Anybody can feel inspired for a moment. But the people who rebuild their lives successfully are the ones who keep going when motivation fades. They understand that discipline is more reliable than feelings. Feeling change, but commitment holds you steady. Some days your progress will be obvious. Other days it will feel invisible. But invisible progress is still progress. Roots grow underground before anything shows above the surface. Just because you can't see the results yet doesn't mean the work isn't working. Stay with it. Rebuilding yourself day by day also means being patient with the process. You're undoing years of habits, thought patterns, and behaviors. That doesn't change overnight. Be patient, but don't be passive. Hold yourself accountable without tearing yourself down. Growth requires grace and effort at the same time. A lot of people quit because they expect perfection. They mess up once and tell themselves they've failed. But one bad day does not erase consistent effort. Falling off track doesn't mean you're off the journey. It just means you get back up and keep moving. Progress is not linear, but commitment must be constant. Daily progress requires structure. You can't rely on willpower alone. You need routines that support the life you're trying to build. Protect your mornings. Guard your time. Be intentional about what you feed your mind. What you do daily becomes who you are eventually. Rebuilding yourself also means learning to celebrate small wins. Stop waiting until everything is perfect to acknowledge how far you've come. Every day you choose growth over comfort is a victory. Every time you don't quit on yourself is a win. Those moments matter more than you think. And let me say this clearly, showing up for yourself consistently builds self-trust. When you keep the promises you make to yourself, your confidence grows naturally. You stop doubting yourself because you have proof. Proof that you don't quit when things get hard. Proof that you can rely on you. Some days the only win will be that you didn't give up. And that's enough. Consistency doesn't require you to be extraordinary. It requires you to be faithful to the process. Small steps taken daily will always outrun big steps taken occasionally. Rebuilding yourself is about commitment, not perfection. It's about choosing to become a little better, a little stronger, a little wiser than you were yesterday. Day by day, brick by brick, you build a life that lasts. And as long as you keep moving forward, you're already winning.